We are going to speak to Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
What should we talk about today? Hi. Sorry to make you wait.
Not a problem. I'm probably going to be the most boring caller you have tonight. But
no, never.
The best for life. I want to come on because Shannon, I've watched several of your shows, and I've listened to your explanations, and I read that you have a degree in psychology. Or is that what you have? Degree in psychology? My apologies.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know where you read that. That's interesting, but yeah, I do.
Yeah, you were somewhere on YouTube. It says you have. Yeah. So I'm just wondering. Like, I grew up, of course, a theist, like a lot of people. Born and raised, programmed. Went through all the teachings, Bible study, and all that stuff. Every question I asked was answered with the God of the gaps, of course, which left me to ask a lot of questions, and I'm kind of in the crossroads right now. Oh, by the way, I just want to throw in that as a father of two amazing boys, I'm absolutely proud that I didn't have Mr. Batman as a science teacher for either of them.
Oh man, I hope not. I hope not.
Really, I was listening, and as I've raised two kids and both of them are pretty, almost finished school. I'm just happy that neither of them had to deal with that. Anyway.
Oh man. What was your question?
You hear that, Mr. Batman? No one likes you.
No, he's still talking. He probably doesn't even know we hung up on
him. Go on. Sorry, Jim. Please.
No, but I was listening. I was like, "Is this for real? Did you guys stage this?"
No. This just happens.
No. Wow. It's love.
Anyway,
all right,
love.
So what was your question, Jim? What's up? Let's talk about you.
My question, I wanted to hear, and I mean, I apologize if I'm asking for kind of a dumbed down explanation, but really what it all boils down to with me now is the answer: is there a soul? To me, that answers the questions, because I've done all the research. I took the time to research. Of course, the Bible is defunct. I only learned Christianity because of where I lived. Like I said, if I was born in Iraq, I would be a Muslim. All that I've completely gone on with, but I'm stuck on the whole business of a soul. And Shannon, I wanted to hear your explanation as to why there is no soul. I've listened to you and Matt, but I haven't got a full explanation on it.
As to why I can give you why it fell apart for me. I can do that.
Why you feel there's no soul? Yeah.
So when you're looking at the concept of the soul, it's something exterior to you that is you, right? So it's something that even if you see it as interacting with your body, it is not your body. But is you, right? So where it fell apart for me was when I started studying neuroscience, because every way I tried to morph my concept of the soul, it no longer could comport with what I was learning about the brain. So the reason that I don't think that there is a soul is because if there was a soul, and if that soul is me, I can't explain why something can happen to my brain physically that affects that makes that change somehow. Also, the mechanism for which it would interact with my body, because it's undeniable that your brain affects your movement, it affects your behavior, it affects your mood, it's where your thoughts are housed, it's where all of your perceptions are, it's where everything integrates. That's just undeniable to me. That is a fact. So this was the linchpin for me, Jim. This was the linchpin, was the mechanism for interaction. How something outside of me that is me managed to make my brain do stuff, which is what would have had to have been the case, right? It would have had to have made my brain do stuff. And it was sodium ion transmission causing neuronal firing. So for me to do anything, and I've expressed this in multiple locations before, if for me to do anything, for me to have any thought, for me to even have this conversation with you, neurons in my brain have to fire. For neurons in my brain to fire, there needs to be a chemical called ATP produced in the mitochondria of the neuronal cell. That chemical, that ATP that is produced, opens sodium ion channels in the cell when there is a certain sort of critical threshold a ratio on either side of that neuron of sodium and potassium ions. And once that channel opens and that threshold is met, they kind of switch back and forth. That creates the action potential in the cell for that cell to fire, that neuron cell to fire, for it to do anything at all. Now, if the soul exists and is me, it would have to somehow find a way to manipulate that process to get behavioral or thought outcomes. And I don't see it as possible or feasible for a soul to somehow manifest sodium and potassium ions in the proper threshold on either side of a cell membrane in order for a neuron to fire to release a neurotransmitter to even so much as move my hand, yet alone operate my entire body. It doesn't seem feasible or possible.
Okay. If I'm quiet, I'm making notes. Sorry, I gotta.
Oh,
I gotta go read.
Quiet is a refreshing change for us. You mean you didn't just keep talking? Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to make these notes because I've had this debate with many people. My parents are like diehard theists,
Right.
and the conversations I've had, and I've gone over this, and I said, like, the little knowledge that I have of science. I've worked 25 years in healthcare, and I've seen.
Thank you.
Fortunately I fortunately had a conversation with somebody who unfortunately, had a massive heart attack, and he was under for, I think he told me it was like the time was 3 minutes and 19 seconds. I think the total time was, when they brought him back. And of course, the first question I had for him, I said, "What do you remember? What did you experience?" He said, "I was sitting at my kitchen table 1 minute," and he said the next minute, he said, "I opened my eyes with a very hot, sore chest that felt like someone beat it with a tree." I said, "So you didn't, did you experience anything else?" He said, "Nothing." And it kind of stuck in my head. Just listen to him. I said, "You didn't have that glowing light?" He said, "No." I said, "So did you, out of body experience?" "No." And he was laying it all out to me. And he was clinically dead for over 3 minutes. And I just kind of this is not what I was taught.
Yeah.
And after that is when I started doing the research, and everything you said, I'm not up on fully on what the knowledge you have. There's no way I haven't gotten into that, but I am going to look further with the whole explanation with the ATP.
Yeah,
it fascinates me. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. It's just that it's a really fascinating topic to explore, and it's one of the reasons I've grown. I love discussing souls, because it's an opportunity for me to talk about my nerd out favorite topic, which is the brain, and B, because it was so intrinsic, right? There's nothing from a psychological perspective that will tie you to your belief more strongly than your belief getting to hold the definition of who you are, which is what soul concepts are, right? Soul concepts are theology hijacking your sense of self, and then defining what a sense of self even is, and then creating the parameters through which that sense of self can be either preserved or seen to fruition. Which is one of the reasons that it infuriated me so much. When I read about Phineas Gage is somebody that you can look into, and I realized that you can lose components of your brain, and we have demonstrated and can quite clearly see that when you lose certain portions of your brain, that you're going to have aggressive affect that's going to fundamentally change who you are. When you look at somebody who's going through alcohol withdrawal that has delusions, it changes their outward manifestation and self-perception of who they are. We can do all of these things that augment the brain, that change who we are. And if we do that, is the soul changing too? What if that was involuntary? So if we're tying a soul into salvation, and then something involuntarily happens to us, and that thing that involuntarily happens to us changes who we are in a detrimental way. It makes us more violent or makes us no longer religious, for an example. That's a thing that could happen. And then we lose our salvation because of something that involuntarily happened to us that we can make predictions about and we see happen consistently. So where does the soul fit in there? That doesn't really seem particularly fair. A lot of that stuff, once that unraveled for me, and I realized that it wasn't viable based on anything that I knew, and it couldn't comport with any of the conceptions that were proposed to me. That was it. I was done. And now it's the least viable thing to me. When people argue for it, I don't get it. I don't get how you can't see that it's not.
What you're saying makes perfect sense. And I referenced a show I watched recently with Matt. I can't remember who he was hosting with, but he said he talked about the whole concept of a soul with heaven. And he said, what have you learned and I was just amazed to listen to Matt as a training to be a Baptist minister. And he commented how he said when he learned this, he learned that all negative emotions are gone in heaven. He said that kind of scares me because the freedom to have negative emotions is what makes me who I am. He said, when I get down in my mood and I come back out, it makes me feel better. He said, it scares me, the thought that I would never have a negative emotion again, because that makes me who I am. And when he said that, I was really taken back. Because we learn.
It also directly contradicts any theological conceptualizations of free will. And those conceptualizations of free will are what sin is predicated upon and salvation is required from. So then once you stop existing in your corporeal form, you no longer have free will. So you briefly had free will, just enough free will to be judged, should you get it, and then it's taken away from you. So then are you even you anymore? And also, like, one of the things that I think about is, like, if I go to heaven, let's just say, so something happens and I'm converted and it's all true, and I go to heaven, but my son doesn't. Am I going to be happy up there in eternal separation from my son? I can't see a universe where that's possible. So am I going to spend my entire eternity in abject misery, separated from my child, or is something going to happen to me to make me not care anymore? And at that point, is that even me? Couldn't be. Whatever version of me that matters to me doesn't exist anymore at that point, because something has been done to me to take me away. So
that is exactly where my thoughts are. Yeah, because yes, I could live the standard life, do everything I can to help people and all that. Yeah. My son could accidentally, get drunk and go out and kill somebody in a car, and I'm separated from him. Yeah, that to me, if I go there and he goes to another place, that's torture.
Are you from the East Coast, bud? Your accent sounds a lot like mine. Sorry.
I am from the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, so we are.
Yes, bud. Yes, bud. All right, there we go. Now I knew it. I was like, I hear a little bit of Atlantic Canada in you.
I'm trying to hide it. I know where I am, but
I do too.
I don't hide it anymore. How did it get down?
I know. She's going good, bud. She's going good. I hide it too when I'm on an air, and I was starting to feel it coming out of me because I could hear it coming out of you. It's like, this bud's from the East Coast. I can speak proper English.
My crowning moment. My wife and my kids and all were going to visit some family in Nova Scotia. I got my best friend in Nova Scotia. I had family over there. We all enjoyed it. I don't mean to get off on a rant, but I was in the airport, and Jean-Paul Tremblay showed up with his family.
Oh, best kind. Nice.
Anybody who knows Jean-Paul Tremblay? He is Julian from the Trailer Park Boys. Yeah. I went up to him, and I said, I'm a big fan. I said, I've watched your movies 1,000 times. And he shook my hand. Yeah, he said, I got your SwearNet movie on my laptop. He said, I hope you brought headphones. He was there with his family. His wife is a Newfoundlander, so it was great to meet. But anyway, yes. So you've partially revealed my identity. Yes, I am.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud. I'm sorry. You made my day. I love to hear the accent. We got to let you go though. We've already gone over. I appreciate having a chat with you, and I hope you're eating some turkey this weekend. Bud, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. See you later. Thanks, bud. Bye. Sorry, that was super Canadian. I know where the accent's from.
That's cool.
Sounds like the one I hide all the time.